So if I go to the building next to the gardener colorway and say, oh, I want to grow water leaf, pumpkin. Water leaf and pumpkin may look like a common vegetable, but in the area where the farm is situated, it also becomes a premium vegetable. Why? For the people around that place, for them to get all of these, they have to travel down to probably as far as Ikorodu to get the quality and the quantity they want. So what are some of the crops that we can grow? First, I will start. They also take note of your heavy feeder crops. Your heavy feeder. So by heavy feeders, we are talking about crops that take in a lot of nutrients. So when you have your heavy feeder crops, you cannot plant them the same way you grow your light feeder crops. So what we are saying in essence is, if I have a heavy feeder crop, I will not do the same density I will do when I have a light feeder crop. So in a square meter, for example, I can have 36 lettuces because they are light feeders. But I am not going to put 36 tomato plants. Why? Aside from the fact that they require a lateral space to grow, they are heavy feeder crops. So examples of heavy feeders we have, so I'll take out the list. You have tomatoes, we have pepper, we have cucumber. Now take note that almost all of these crops that we are calling, they are crops that actually have fruits. So you have cucumber, you have your beans, you have peas, you have squash, broccoli, your cauliflower, your cabbage, your granite. All of these are all heavy feeder crops. So when you are planting them, you need to be cognizant of the density you are using for them. Then we have the general ones that are not heavy feeder. You have things like your lettuces, basil, okra, spinach, kale, coriander, kale, ginger, flowers, collards, your corn, your cilantro, your meat, your eggplant. Most of the vegetables you eat at home, your coscoris, your ewedu, your efo, for those that don't understand Yoruba, I'm sorry, your pumpkin, so on and so forth. Now for the pumpkin, let me also quickly say this. For those of you that are part of the class from outside the country, like the US, the UK, in your own case, pumpkin will be an heavy feeder because you grow for the pod to do your Halloween and stuff. In Nigeria, we don't have time to wait for the pod, we eat the leaves. So for us in Nigeria, yes, we have those people that grow for the pod to get seeds to plant, but most people that are growers of pumpkin are just waiting for the leaves to come out for us to eat. We are awesome like that. Okay. So some of the few things to take note of is once you know the plant you want to grow, you should know how to do your nursery. If you don't know how to make a nursery, go back to, I think that was week 2, where we talked about doing a nursery generally. Nursery for aquaponics, aeroponics, hydroponics, whatever aquaponics you want to do is essentially the same, so you need not worry. Then, another thing again to take note of in aquaponics, remember we said aquaponics is actually organic. So it would not be wise to say you are doing aquaponics and you are going to get improved seeds or you are getting hybrid seeds for your aquaponics system. I mean, once you are using an hybrid seed, you've already left the whole organic region. So it is advisable you also ensure you get organic seeds. And one of the ways to ensure you get organic seed is to get seeds from trusted sellers. Take that again. Look for people that you know you can trust their source and tell them you need organic seeds. Then, for your system, you may also decide to plant duckweed. The good news is some fishes, some species of fishes can actually feed on duckweed. So if you have your duckweed planted, but when you are planting your duckweed on your aquaponic system, don't plant all the duckweed you have in the place where your fishes are growing, because if you do that, you are going to come back one day and realize your fishes have finished all the duckweed and you have to go and start from scratch. So you can have a place where you start your duckweed and transfer to the fishes and let that one continue to grow. You know, should the fishes finish that batch, you can always go back to the source and get more duckweed. Then also, when you want to grow in aquaponics, try and have a little bit of plant biodiversity. What we are saying is, yes, you can grow everything lettuce, You can grow everything as dew or chives, but at times it is preferable to have 2 or 3 different mix of plants growing on your aquaponics system. Have different mix. One of the reasons why we do that is should there be an infection or something, they would help you break and ensure you don't lose all your crops. An infection that probably affects your lettuce may not affect your tomatoes. But if everything you had was tomatoes and you have an infection for any reason, they will wipe out all your crops. So at times it is good to always have a mix, have your plants to be diverse. And you also remember that in your aquaponic system, so in the root region, take note of, so in the root region, take note to ensure you have the following root: the primary roots, the secondary roots, and the root hairs. Why is this important? So when you take out your plants, you are going to see your roots. You are going to see your roots looking like that. So you are going to see your roots looking like that. I don't know if you can see this well. So when you look at your roots, these roots that are long and big are the primary roots. What is also referred to as the tap roots. They are big. Now the function of these tap roots is to break barriers normally so that you can get to where the nutrients are. However, in hydroponics, aquaponics or aeroponics, they may not be as developed as what you have in geoponics. Geoponics is soil-based farming. Remember, because they are not looking for nutrients up and down. They have their nutrients come to them easily. Then we have what you call the fibrous root or the secondary roots. They are attached to the primary roots. These ones are responsible for taking up nutrients. They are responsible for taking up nutrients through what we call the xylem. So in your listing you have what you call xylem and PHLO and the phloem. Hope my spelling is correct. Yes. So you have xylem and phloem. So the xylem is responsible naturally for taking up water. As the xylem takes up water, whatever is dissolved in that water, an example could be nutrients, an example could be hard elements like a mercury, and whatever it is that is dissolved in that water, the xylem takes it up. So your xylem functions by taking up nutrients upwards. The phloem collects the food and collects the produced food from the leaves of the plant and takes them downward for storage. Okay. Now, so we know the function of the xylem. Now, the root hairs are the small tiny things attached to your secondary roots. The function of the root hair is for breathing in the plant. We nickname them the lungs of the plant. So the way your lungs are important to you, the same way the root hair are important to the plants. So when you have a plant without root hair being truly functional, then it means that your plant is going to suffocate and die soon. So remember what we said when we were discussing at the beginning, that is from the beginning, I think week 1 or week 2 of the lecture, where we said when you look at your plants in aquaponics, aeroponics or hydroponics, you expect the roots to be purely white and clean. They should always be sparkling. So take note of that. Now, so in conclusion on the kind of plant, remember the things that your plant needs. 1, your plant needs air. Remember, we've talked about that. Your plant needs air. So the shoot region needs carbon dioxide. The root region needs oxygen. Take note of that. So this root region takes in oxygen, but the shoot takes in carbon dioxide. Then, so they need air. Another importance of air to them is for humidity, temperature control. So it was the air will help them control humidity. humidity, then temperature. Also, as the breeze blows the plant, it gives it strength. So that is one. Another thing that we know the plant requires is light. We've talked about light. I think in one of the classes we talked about light. So your plant needs light. Remember we talked about the fact that your plant requires a particular spectrum of light. So every plant knows what they need. However, we also explained that in a case where you are not sure the spectrum of light that the plant requires, whether it is the nanometers or whatever spectrum it is, then just go for your simple white light. That works perfectly. Then another thing again that your plant needs is the water. And we talked about water quality in one of the lectures, I think one of the earlier lectures, where we talked about the pH, your EC, your TDS, all of these things need to be monitored closely. Then another thing that the plant needs is the nutrients, both the macro and micro. So that's another thing again that the plant needs. Then finally, we've talked about 1, 2, 3, 4 is the grow media. What kind of media are you using? So the grow media, which is going to act as the support, also help you to retain. So for aquaponics, all of these things play 20%. You don't want one to be higher than the other. They are all equally important. And as a summary on this, we'll quickly run through what are the functions of the macronutrients. So you know you have your nitrogen that helps in the production of protein and nucleic acid for the plant. We have a phosphorus that also helps in giving nucleic acid, also helps in formation of adenosine triphosphate ATP. Then your phospholipid bilayer that helps in the formation of the membrane of the cell of the plant. Then you have things like potassium that helps in enzyme activity in the plant. Potassium also ensures water balance within the plant and also for the stomata opening. So yes, you cannot see it with your physical eyes, but on the leaves of the plant you have stomata that has to open for gaseous exchange and also for exchange of water and all of that. You have your sulfur, also needed for protein formation, also acts as a coenzyme. You have your calcium that acts as a cytoskeleton, membrane enzyme and secondary messenger. And finally you have your magnesium, which helps in chlorophyll formation, helps in enzyme activation and also stabilize ribosome. Your micronutrients are things like your iron, your zinc, your nickel, your molybdenum, your boron, manganese, chlorine, and so on and so forth. So we will stop here in this, and then in the next class we'll look at fishes generally. Thank you.